From the 1964 album The Soul of Me, that was It's the Talk of the Town by our guest today, Miss Ketty Lester. Best known for her 1962 top 5 hit Love Letters, now in 2022, Ketty Lester has a presence on social media, and she's reconnecting with her many fans through a new book, and there are CDs and all sorts of stuff on her website. What a joy it is to speak today with Miss Ketty Lester. Welcome to the program. So glad to speak with you.
It's my pleasure, and I'm grateful.
Well, we all are too, and you know, it was around this time of year, 60 years ago, that your song, Love Letters, was all over the radio.
Yes, it was.
And as I understand it, Groucho Marx, of all people, was instrumental in you getting national attention. Is that true?
Yes, he was my old friend. I started at the Purple Onion in San Francisco. It was me, Phyllis Diller, and Maya Angelou.
Wow.
We were the acts at that time. The thing of it is, I had just started in show business. Phyllis Diller had just started in show business because, you know, back in those days, we didn't have women comics. I think Phyllis was the first. And, of course, the act, I don't know if it was Maya's first night, but she was the star of the show. And then she stopped singing and started writing.
How did you get to this point, performing at a nightclub like this? Was this something that you had been working toward?
Well, by my sister having the accident with and got pregnant, you know, I had to go to work. So I went first to the shipyard because during the war, my father worked at the shipyard. But I was kind of young, and they said, "You're too young to work here. You got to go home." And they sent me away. All right. I had worked at the post office during the Christmas, so I went to the post office. And they said, "No, you can't work here." I said, "But I know how to work here." I said, "I have already worked here before." But they didn't give me no job. But I had done a show with the University of California during the summer. They would have a show in the park. But that's where I met the owners and the manager of the Purple Onion in San Francisco. And he asked me if I wanted to go pro, he said. Well, what do I know anything about pro? I said, I don't know what pro is, but I need a job, and I will sing if that's what it is. And that's where I started.
Next thing you know, you're on stage with Phyllis Diller and Maya Angelou. You did all
right.
You did all right for yourself there.
Well, it was the three of us. I was the first act, Phyllis was the second act, and Maya was the star. Groucho Marx came in after Phyllis and Maya and I had worked at the Purple Onion in San Francisco for about a year, the three of us. And then the Purple Onion decided that they were going to open a Purple Onion in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And when they opened the Purple Onion in Los Angeles, I was sent by myself. And of course, I didn't feel that I was big enough to be an act at that time, but I was. And Groucho Marx, he would come to the Purple Onion to say hello to me. And when he asked me, would you like to be on my show? Well, I didn't know nothing about TV. And I said, well, I don't know what it is, but if all I have to do is sing, I can sing. And that was it. And he had me on his show about 3 performances, and we became sort of friends.
Well, that's lovely.
And that's where he would have these shows where he asked questions and I'm supposed to answer. Well, I hadn't finished college, so I didn't know no answer to nothing. I would just make a joke out of it. And he would laugh at it, but he paid me.
Since my professional name is Ketty Lester.
Oh, Ketty Lester.
That's right.
Now, I know in your recording career, you recorded for RCA Victor and also, is it pronounced Era Records? Era Records.
Era.
Okay.
Record. And I really didn't know nothing about Era. I had met this woman named Rosemary Clooney.
Wow.
And Rosemary Clooney told me, don't ever sign with no RCA Victor. I said, oh, that's strange. But I was at the Purple Onion for about 2 years. And then we closed there, and I went to the Ye Little Club. And that's where I met Dorothy Shea, the Park Avenue Hillbilly, she was called.
Yes, yes.
She was a hillbilly singer, but she wore fine gowns like Lena Horne.
A fussin' and a fightin'. This is a wrong that needs a rightin'. Let's get that funeral service over, so then we'll go feud and fightin' again.
Now, when you were, I guess, given the song Love Letters, it was from a musical, but when it was decided that you were going to record it, did you like it before you recorded it?
I didn't know it. I had never heard it. These boys that got me to do the recording, it was what was these boys' name?
The Four Preps?
I think the Four Preps.
Right.
Okay, I'm at the Little Club. They are the Four Preps. And they came in one night after Dorothy had met me and said, would I do some tape for them? Well, I didn't know what a tape was, but I said, I don't care. You know, if it's singing, I can sing. And they took me to this place. He was actually the recording engineer at Fox Studios. And he had a studio above his garage. And they said, come to the back and come up the stairs above the garage. There's a stairway. And I was supposed to go up the stairway. When I went up the stairway, they were there, and so was this man that was the engineer. And I said, I thought they wanted me to take some songs of theirs that they had written.
Oh.
But when I asked them, what do you want me to tape? They said, just take some of the songs that you sing. And the first song that I taped was I'm a Fool to Want You.
You know, I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs.
That was the first song I made on tapes.
I'm a fool So want you.
Well, I was just singing the songs that I sang at the nightclub. That's all I knew. And they had me singing there for hours, and I got tired. And I said, listen here. I said, I've got to go to work tonight. I said, I can't sing forever. Just making these tapes. I said, I've got to go home because I've got to go to work tonight. And they said, just one more. I said, I don't know no more. But Lincoln, who was the pianist, had this song, Love Letters, on the piano. I said, play that. I'll sing that. I had never heard it before. I didn't know nothing about it. But he played it, but the way he played it was so square to me. And I said, can't you put a little soul into the song? He didn't know what soul was. I said, it's gospel, man. Put some gospel. He didn't know what gospel was. Lincoln was a classical musician.
Mm.
He didn't know nothing about black music.
Right.
And he didn't know nothing about gospel. Gospel was our music. We would sing that music during slavery time to help us to find the way where we were going to run away, you know. So I told him, I said, we did have a black bass player, Earl Palmer.
Right.
I said, I'm going to give you an introduction. I said, I'm going to show you what gospel is. So I just did it with my voice. I just said, dum 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 bum 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 ding 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 dum, and of course Earl got it, and right away because it's a gospel. And Lincoln, he said, "Come on, man, get with it, get with it." And I was the first one to put gospel on pop.
And it went to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, and then it went to number 2 on the R&B charts, and then in England, it was all over the world.
In England, it was number 1. And how it got to be number 1 in England, I don't know. It became a big hit, and it was a blessing, but I had been in Oregon singing. And when I came back, Lincoln, the pianist, was at the little hair. You got a hit. You got it. I said, I got a hit. I said, I haven't made no records. I made tapes for you guys. I said, I did not make a record. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what have you done? They didn't ask me. They didn't tell me nothing. This little record company wanted it right away, and they sold it to them. But they didn't pay me.
Oh, boy. Well, you know, that song, Love Letters, has really stood the test of time, and it sounds just as good today as it did when you made it. So you made a lasting piece of art, and I know that you really enjoy connecting with your fans. In fact, your career is so much more than the records you made because you did so much acting on television and in movies, and you have a website. I want to make sure I give it out correctly here. It is MissKettyLester.com. And on this website, this is where you can get CDs, and you've got a book?
I've written my resume.
So you've got a book there, and there are photos?
There are photos of a lot of the movies that I did. I also did the first black with Diane Carroll. We did the first black series.
Yes.
Julia. I was with her on that.
You know, something else you did, and I'll just mention this briefly. You had a part in the movie Blackula.
Oh, yeah.
Now, can I tell you a story about this movie?
Yes.
I was a young boy, so I was really young, and it was on TV, and I said to my mother, I'm going to watch this. I don't think it's going to be scary. And I'm going to tell you that I've never been so terrified in my life as a young boy watching that. And I said to my mother, turn it off. Turn it off.
But you know well, we'll talk about that if we ever talk again. But there's a lot of people that like Blackula.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well,
in England, I think Europe, somehow, they called me to ask me if they could have Blackula in there. It was some kind of thing. I said, you don't ask me for Blackula. I said, I didn't produce Blackula. I said, I was just a cab driver.
Well, it certainly made an impression on me that scared the pants off me, that movie. But I want to thank you. Go ahead.
Most people, when they ask about Ketty Lester, they will say, what was your favorite movie? And they will say Blackula.
Isn't that something?
For some reason. I don't know why.
It was scary. It was scary.
I was the ugliest person in the world.
Yeah, it wasn't glamorous, I guess. That's for sure.
It wasn't glamorous at all.
Well, you
Most of the time I was ashamed of it, but...
Well, now all these years later. Yeah.
Yes. But it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, it was such a joy to speak with you, and I wish you well. And I hope everybody goes to your website and they get your book and your CDs and all of it. And you have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye-bye.